Hey everyone, welcome back to Encinas Unfiltered. We're informed, unfiltered, and a match. At Encinas Unfiltered, you expect raw takes, real talk, and sports like you haven't heard before. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. That really helps us with the YouTube algorithm. And as a reminder, we still have our membership program through YouTube. That'll be forever, so that's not going away. But we have a special promotion going on until February 8th. So this is the day of the Super Bowl. After the Super Bowl is over, promotion is no more. It's 99 cents a month where you have access to our Legend tier benefits, which obviously I know now fantasy's done, but for next year, you get one-on-one fantasy advice. You'll be able to have access to our Discord where we have a bunch of different stuff going on. We have giveaways. We have merch, store credit. It's really not bad for 99 cents a month, and you're definitely going to make that back up by being in the Discord and as part of being a member of Encinas Unfiltered. So I would definitely check that out.
As they told you in college, you're investing into your future right there with that 99 cents.
It's a great deal for 99 cents a month. There's other programs like Walter's Picks and everything else that's going to charge you $100 for the year when we're literally going to charge you $12 for a year to go ahead and get some really good advice. If you're interested in merch, we have a new merch website that we just released. It's really easy to use. You can actually check out from it now. You can actually buy from it. I know the first thing people are going to say is like, oh, shipping's a little high. I don't control that. A lot of it's drop shipping anyways. So when you buy it, I'm not the one setting the price of the shipping. That's all handled by the person or the company that's manufacturing it.
I spent a lot of time redoing this merch store, so I hope you guys appreciate it.
You spent a lot of time redoing this merch store. I've been spending nights and hours and unhealthy going to bed times over this stuff.
He claims it, but you know what?
My God.
I'm gonna let him have it. You know, it's his show. You know, I'm gonna let him just take the credit for it. But
this guy is an on-screen talent.
We all kind of know
sets up some of the notes here. Okay, let's not get it twisted real quick. Hold on.
Who did this? That's all.
That's wild. That's wild. But we are going to be doing, so if you watched the show last week, we're going to be doing a special event where I'm going to be putting a code somewhere in the show. I'm not going to tell anybody where it's at. So sorry for you audio listeners. You need to physically be able to see it. And I think last week, Angel, the boy Angel is actually the one who won it. Even though Bebo found it first, I don't know how that worked out. You know, that's what happens if you lag and you're not going to get it. Someone else is going to redeem the code. So he got some money off of his order and he went ahead and bought some fantasy football playing cards. So that was kind of cool. Yeah. So he's going to get those. I think they ship today and they will be there, I think, middle or the end of the week. So congrats to Angel. But we're going to be doing it again until Super Bowl. So we have this episode. We're going to have a week off, which I'll tell you what we're going to do to fill in that week off. And then the Super Bowl will be the last week of the giveaways just for the merch for the boys. But they'll have a code like this, which I'll show it here on the screen for post. And it'll be on screen for about 5 seconds.
Oh, $1.
So think of it like a giveaway. It's like a gift card, right? It's like a gift card that you have you can't use the money to buy a gift card because Bev already tried that. But you can go ahead and take money off of your order. So think of it as like us paying for your shipping and your taxes, depending on what you get. So just something to think about. Definitely pretty cool. And we're going to be running them for the next 2 weeks. If you're like, well, where can I go to the merch store? You can go to the description here in this video. You can go to our Instagram or our TikTok, or you can go to our link tree and you can see it right then and there. And you go ahead and click it and you can see what we have and all the different merch offerings that we have. Some of the options that are like the shirt I'm wearing, the shirt Xavier's wearing, the hat Xavier's wearing, the hat I'm wearing. This is what a brand new hat looks like. This is what a brand new Mexico hat looks like. And we have many more, as you'll see in our background, special edition hats as well. But there's very many different merch offerings. We also are releasing our MMA and boxing merch, which just came out. So you go ahead and check that out there because as football ends, that's what some of our content is going to be switching is over to the MMA and boxing until football season comes around again. And also to those of you that were able to get the limited edition merch, congrats. It was literally up for like a day, I think, and now it's gone. All the new air sweaters, gone. I can't get them no more. So those of you that put your order in, before the deadline, which was like 9 a.m. today, which I didn't even have a deadline set, but I got the email saying, hey, we're sold out. So, hey, congrats to those that got some. I definitely picked up every color in my size for me. So we got some announcements for you guys. So stay tuned for our fantasy football draft episode. That's going to be August of 2026. So we did one last year and I think it went really well. Some of our predictions may come to play. We'll see. Waiting on that Rams Super Bowl win that I called in that episode. Yeah. But expect that for the 2026 fantasy football draft, and we'll go ahead and give you the PDFs and all the documentation that you'll need to be prepared for your draft. And also, I keep saying this every week. I know, I get it. Hayden's been asking me, Xavier's kind of been asking me, but it's mostly Hayden. The Great Debate episode is filmed. It needs to be edited. Obviously, I decided merch was more important, so I redid the merch store. But the episode will be edited, and since we're going to have an off week during, between Super Bowl and this week's games, I'm going to go ahead and release it for members. So members are going to have first access to it, and then at some point, we'll see how it's kind of going. I might either release it to the public, or I'll release it after season for the public, maybe the week after Super Bowl, depending on what we have planned for talking points, or if we're going to do episode or not, which I really don't know yet. But look out for that. And if you enjoy that episode, or if you enjoy football topics related off season, let us know, and maybe we can film some of those, whether it's a great debate or whether we talk about expectations early on. I mean, it might not be like an every week thing, but maybe like a once a month thing, and kind of just keep everything updated, or maybe as the draft approaches too. So in today's episode, it's going to be pretty short, pretty simple. There's not really a whole lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about the NFL divisional playoffs. We're going to do a little recap. We're going to talk about some coaching changes. Then we're going to get into our divisional round of football bets. So typically, or what we have been doing, I should say, is we put up a chart, and we kind of will be picking of like who we think is going to win. But I think at this point, with only 2 games left, there's no real reason to do that. So I'm going to throw up a chart, and I'm going to go ahead and read the money line, the over under, and the spread. And that's how we're going to do the playoffs for this week, and probably for the Super Bowl as well. And at the very end, we're going to get into our hot takes that we always say is going to be short, and it ends up being most of our episode. So still expect that to happen, because I definitely have a few rants to go over here and there. First game of the divisional round was a barn burner. The Broncos edged out the Bills 33-30. Of course, and I don't want to put my conspiracy theory hat on or anything, but there was a couple pass interferences. The second one, I'm with it. The first one, I don't know. You should look at the meme that I made. They're counting money. The refs there on that one, but set up the Broncos for the go-ahead field goal. And as a result, it was the highest of highs. The Broncos were pumped. They're excited. They're like, yeah, we're gonna go to the AFC Championship matchup against whoever, whether it was going to be the Patriots or whether it was going to be Houston. Like, we're looking good. We like this. And then they got hit with the lowest of lows. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, their quarterback, Bo Nix, fractured his ankle, is now out for the season. Cooked.
Oh,
they are
the worst
cooked.
Possible thing that could have happened, dude.
I'm never going to tell you to bet the house on something, but I would probably bet the house that the Patriots are going to win that one. Unfortunately for them, it's going to be a next man up, and that's Jarrett Stidham. And if you don't know who Jarrett Stidham is, he was the Raiders quarterback. He went 1-3. That's not good. Solid. I'll tell you that. It's not good. I'm not liking it for him. So it's unfortunate for the Broncos, but at least the fans are starting to realize their fate and just kind of moving on at this point. Just like if they had lost, maybe the rest should have just let the Bills go. But hey, that's the last thing I'll say about that. Then the last game of Saturday night, it was a highly anticipated rematch of the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. The game was so
anticipated for every 49er fan. The rest of us knew how this was going to go.
No. It was pretty anticipated. The game was so hyped that the college football organization moved their championship game to Monday instead. That was supposed to originally be on Saturday, which I think kind of speaks volumes for what they thought this game was going to be. Well, this game didn't live up to the hype. The 49ers are injured. Their luck finally ran out, and they got crushed. And when I mean crushed, I mean they got destroyed. Like, it wasn't even, I don't even know what I was watching. Like, Seattle's defense is so good and so strong. It was 41-6. Like, after I think Rashid Shaheed opening drive, like kickoff, just ran it back, and I was like, oh, they're cooked. I was like, they're cooked. That's it. And yeah, it was pretty one-handed. Like, it was.
You really got to question the defensive coordinator's, ability there.
I don't know if I'd question their defensive coordinator, because I think he did what he could, considering as many injuries as the Niners has had. But I do believe he was too busy interviewing that week, which he shouldn't have been doing anyways, considering he had a playoff matchup that week. But hey, and we'll get to him a little bit later.
I feel really bad for whatever dumb team hired him.
Well, we'll get into that. Don't you worry. We will definitely talk about that.
Yes, we will.
Then we had Sunday's games. So the first game of Sunday was Texans at Patriots. The one thing I do want to point out, and I actually made a comment on Instagram on the post that I saw, is that all the experts for the game on ESPN's NFL Live picked the Texans to beat the Patriots. But before I go on a rant, I'll talk about the game, and then I'm going to get into my rant, because I'm just so flabbergasted. So the Patriots beat the Texans 28-16. CJ Stroud threw 4 interceptions. Okay, 4 interceptions. That's ridiculous. Granted, I'm not surprised. Their defense is very good. And I'll tell you that right now, hands down, Houston's defense, top 1-2 in the league. I won't deny that. But CJ Stroud's confidence has been very, very bad. You can see it last year, you saw it this year, and you saw it especially in the playoff game during the wild card weekend. So it was already kind of rough. Nico Collins was out with a concussion. They had a lot of things stacked up against them in that game. Okay, so here's my rant. So the fact that the experts picked the Texans to me is just so terrible. And I think the reason why I'm kind of more like heated or passionate about it is that you have these experts on the big name network, which I already kind of name dropped them. And you have podcasters like us. Like, I would like to think I'm an expert. Doesn't mean I am. I have opinions, right? We have opinions.
Right.
Doesn't mean we're getting paid big bucks to tell you how we feel. But these people are getting paid a lot of money. And,
Millions.
people do bet on the game. We don't bet on the game because we can't hear. But when they're telling you to pick a team that looks the way that they did, and I think a normal rational person would say like, hey, like they might be an underdog, but the fact that you had 5 people picking this team is it blows my mind. So I kind of already talked about it. Houston has a great defense, but they have a terrible offense. CJ Stroud's been rattled this year. CJ Stroud would look rattled last year. They lost the number 1 guy, Nico Collins. He's out with a concussion, so he wasn't playing. So now you're relying on rookies, and you have Christian Kirk, who's often injured. He's a vet, but still, you don't really know what you're going to get with him. So to me, it's like, how do you put 2 and 2 together where it's like, oh yeah, I think Houston's going to win this, and I'm going to confidently say that on network television or nationally for people to see. And I don't know, man. Like CJ is a weird one because CJ it has shown to be good, but it was only his rookie year that we've seen him be very good. And then after that, like you like to say on the show a lot, is you have a great rookie season, and once the league figures out how to expose you, they do. And unfortunately, I think that's what we're seeing with him.
Never trust.
They're big one-offs sometimes. And my biggest thing is like, why would you trade Laramie Tunsil when you can see that was like one of the biggest holes that needed to be filled, is that CJ didn't have time and he was getting pressured. So to me, it's like it didn't make 2 and 2 didn't go together on that. And they're trying to say, oh, well, we needed to give up, or we needed to fix some of the salary cap issues. And it's like, well, maybe you shouldn't pay some of these players. And it maybe, it just doesn't make sense. I don't know. I was like, I'm not trying to rant this whole time, but it's just like, I just can't believe that people like that get paid.
Like so-called professionals get paid millions of dollars to tell people just idiotic stuff.
Right. Oh, and I didn't name drop them. Someone name dropped them. So it's Ryan Clark, respected. Dan Orlovsky, respected. Marcus Pierce, he's well known. Mina Kimes, standalone on ESPN forever since we were probably young. She's been on the show. And Hannah Storm, which I don't really know who she is. But I'm just so flabbergasted. That's the only word I can use without getting demonetized. That I definitely cut some words in my rant, but like it's I don't know. I'm very passionate about it. I think it's just ridiculous that people can do that because
I get you. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, it's kind of one of those situations where we all want the underdog to win. Like we all enjoy that story, right? But at the end of the day, like, you're supposed to be a professional. Like, you're supposed to be like the person. I'm not saying you know it all, right? Because sports can go any way, right? We all know the saying, any given Sunday, right? But realistically, like anybody who knows football, which they are older than us, so they've known football for much longer. There was no logical football person other than a Texans fan and apparently so-called professionals that truly legitimately thought the Texans were going to win this at all. Like, there's no way in any world did anybody logically believe that was going to happen. And honestly, I really do agree with you that I don't know how these people get paid that, because if that's the case, bro, take money out of all their salary, throw it into our show, and we'll tell you how to do it right and not be delusional like that. That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah, we're definitely working on cleaning up the show, especially with being monetized. But I mean, I think it just really, what's the word? Family Guy say, literally grinds my gears when I see stuff like that. And I'm just like, podcasters get a bad rap for giving bad advice. And don't get me wrong, we're not perfect, but when you can look at something from a we'll say fan's perspective, right?
Right.
When a fan is able to tell you like, oh, hey, Patriots have a good defense and a pretty good offense, and Houston has a good defense, but their offense is pretty suspect. They haven't been good since CJ's rookie year. It's like, well, put 2 and 2 together, and it's like, well, Patriots make a lot of sense.
Just be
Makes
logical.
a lot of sense. I don't see why.
Just be logical.
Right. And so that's the end of my rant. I digress either way. And then the last game, honestly, was what was expected. It was a very close game, anybody's game. We knew the offenses were going to be booming, and it was snowy. And I think that really played a factor in that game a lot. But the LA Rams played against the Chicago Bears. The Rams were up 17-10 in the fourth quarter. Caleb, I don't know how, bro. Caleb threw a touchdown on fourth down with 18 seconds left. Tied the game, bro. Oh my God.
I might buy like a whole separate hat and change it out in the middle of this and put on my conspiracy hat, because this was 100% bullcrap. This I have okay, so I sort of believed that the NFL was maybe a little rigged. Like, yeah, you never know, right? You can never be 100% sure, right? There's always that 99.9%. You're like, yeah, dude, there's no way. And then there's that little 1% that kind of just like wiggles around a little bit. That 1% became like 80% when I watched this game. You cannot tell me in that last play, in this miracle touchdown play, you are a professional cornerback or safety in the NFL. I'm not 100% if that guy was a safety or not.
I think he was a corner. Dude, I think he's a backup, but yeah.
I don't care. Even I could have read that. Me and my fat man boobies could have ran back there and handled that. No problem. Like, that was insane. This dude literally leaves this tight end, a tight end.
Cole Kmet, baby.
Dude, this man is 4 yards in front of him. And not only that, but when the ball actually gets to his hands, he's still running forward. There is no way. Yeah. And I've watched the play, so I know, some people are going to be like, well, they were fighting over the ball. Yeah. I watched it. I broke it down for like 10 minutes to my wife, who didn't care that I was doing it. I broke this thing down. They fought for maybe 2 seconds at best with that ball in the air. And they're like, oh, Cole Kmet shoved him off.
It was a very little push.
You're
much.
joking, right? Because you obviously haven't watched it if that's what you're throwing at me, because that little hand fighting, there was no shove for him to push him 4 yards and continuously go forward. That is
he
not
didn't extend his hands at all.
Dude, that is not how fighting for a ball works, especially at a professional level, even at a collegiate level. There's no way that that's how that works. So, horrible excuse. There's no way that you honestly, to be 100% honest, I am pretty open-minded to almost anything, any argument that you want to make. I even, I allowed a delusional Browns fan to try and convince me about a quarterback. All right. That should show you how open-minded I am about that. But there's no way that you can convince me otherwise that was not rigged or scripted in any type of way. Like, no, there's no way. There's no way. And I've never said that about any play, and we have all watched some suspect. In fact, there was one, by reference to a little catch / interception that might have happened, literally identical in 2 games.
Wild.
But, and even that, I let it go. You know what? Reffing's a little, I get it. I get it. But this, there's no way. There's no way, dude. You could, oh my gosh, I could sit on here for another hour and go on a straight tinfoil hat
theory.
Dude, I'll bring you all down this rabbit hole with me.
Well,
I'll tell you no problem.
Based on what I saw when I was watching the game, there was a little shove. It wasn't 4 yards because he didn't extend his hands. So I don't think that was the case. No. I honestly think at the end of the day, I think there's a little truth to all conspiracy theories. Maybe not all of them, but to some of them. I don't know if in this instance it was fixed, only because this didn't have to do with the ref. And I think when there's any kind of fixing, to me, it always goes to refereeing. But that always comes down from a WWE standpoint, where the referee is actually giving the instructions of how this is supposed to go. So I think that's where my head goes. But I think this was just a true misplayed ball. It was bad.
There's no way.
But
there's no way,
dude,
just because
happens.
there was nobody in front of him. So like there wasn't even a wide receiver to where you could say like, oh, the corner could look back and go, oh, the safety was supposed to cover him.
Well,
no,
can I tell you
there wasn't anybody.
why I think he went forward though?
Go ahead.
It's because I'll tell you, because if you were playing corner, you would see a Caleb Williams who's scrambling back, throwing off of his back foot. You're not expecting him to throw a dart. I mean, it's hard to do it like that. And he did it, but your first reaction is to come up because you think he's going to underthrow it. Even though it's fourth down, they should have just batted it down. I'm just saying that's what I would think why he would move forward. But I think he misplayed it and didn't realize that he was throwing a dart to Cole Kmet, and Cole Kmet was literally just there by himself for 4 yards. But you shouldn't only just blame that corner because there was more help on the side just freaking watching it happen. He didn't come forward. He had plenty of time to move over and go after the ball. He was at the 30 or 40-yard line.
Because even if I was him, I would have thought the same thing that I'm thinking is there's no way, because even if that ball fell incomplete, who cares? The play's over. The game's done. There's no reason that you're not sticking on that receiver, tight end, whoever, like glue, no matter what. There's no way that you can justify, in my mind, as a professional, you are at the NFL level making millions of dollars, and you cannot convince me otherwise that anywhere any coach has ever told you make a break on the ball like that 4 yards in front. There's no way that you could convince me. Every coach would tell you stick on that receiver, whoever it is, until the ball hits the ground, because especially in that situation, if that's the case, he needs to be released and never signed by anybody ever again. That's zero game awareness. That's zero situational awareness. And that's zero ability at the cornerback position. And you should not have a job at all.
It's interesting either way. I mean, I just think he misplayed it, personally speaking.
Then you need...
When I think conspiracy, I'm thinking more of like the refs and the interception and the catches. That to me is more plausible than the other ones. But I'll just continue what I was talking about now that Xavier's had his rant. The Rams were up 17-10 in the fourth quarter. KO threw a touchdown on fourth down with 18 seconds left to tie the game, 17-17 going to overtime. The Rams got the ball first in overtime, went 3 and out. At this point, the Bears fans were texting, and I have family that are Bears fans, and my wife hates that because she's a Green Bay Packers fan. And they're already calling, saying the game is over. They're going to score a field goal. It's going to be over. Long and behold, the prayers can be answered. Caleb threw an interception at the Rams' 22-yard line. The Rams drove the ball down and kicked a field goal to seal the game, and they are going to the NFC Championship game against Seattle. What some drama. That is a good game in the NFC Championship. I mean, here on the show, we already said we thought the NFC Championship was going to, or the NFC West is going to win the Super Bowl at this point. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. This was supposed to be a short episode, and we went on rants, but you know what? It's for the content. So next, we got our coaching changes, and here with that, Xavier, go ahead and tell us what has been going on since last week.
So the coaching changes, the fire, Sean McDermott, 98 wins, 50 regular season losses record, 7 straight 10-plus win regular seasons.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Was 8-8 as a postseason record. Out of all the coaches that got fired, we'll take out Harbaugh just for the sake of it. No coach had this type of record.
Yeah.
And I know people are going to be like, well, what about Mike Tomlin? Mike Tomlin stepped down. For the hires, Miami hired Jeff Hafley as their head coach. These are all head coaches, by the way. Yeah. Atlanta signed Kevin Stefanski. Interesting.
That's a good one.
Obviously, the big one, New York Giants signed John Harbaugh.
Great. That's great for him.
The reason why I added this one was because he was very highly sought after as a head coach for some teams. But he ended up signing just literally hours ago as a offensive coordinator for the Chargers, who is Mike McDaniels. So Tua, I believe, was the number 6 pick in that NFL draft, and Herbert was number 7. The last one, the one that shook me to the core. The Tennessee Titans signed Robert Saleh as their head coach.
Don't worry, we're gonna get into him. Before you go on your rant, we're gonna get into him. We're gonna save it for the hot takes. Let's save it for the hot takes.
All I'm gonna say is I'm very disappointed. I'm very disappointed.
And those of you who don't know, he's a Tennessee Titans fan. So if you're like, well, why is
I
he
am a
disappointed?
Titans fan. I know every Titans fan in the world is happy right now. I am not. And I think that there are probably more of us silent fans about it because we just expect our organization to be horrible and be a AAA team that just feeds to other good teams in the NFL. This does not help our case. But whatever.
Yeah.
We'll get into that later, I guess.
So next we got our NFL Conference Championship football bets. So we're looking at the money line, over, under, and spread. So the first game we got the New England Patriots. They're favored by -5.5 versus the Broncos. I'll tell you right now, off the rip, I'm taking -5.5 all day long.
Yeah.
Because the Broncos don't have a starting quarterback right now.
Nope.
I think you can confidently do that. The total's 41.5, and I think this is where I kind of get, I'm not sure. I'm conflicted because I can see a world where it goes both ways. Like, yeah, it can go under or it can go over. But because Denver does have a good defense, I don't want to take that away from them regardless. So I do think it'll go under.
I think it's under as well. Yep.
Okay. And you got Patriots at -5.5.
Oh, yeah.
Patriots
Easily.
to win. Okay.
Easily.
Yeah, this is the game I think you hands down can bet the house on. Don't actually do it, but I think you can confidently bet this game with no real issues, in my opinion. The next game, this is the game that I think is probably the best game we're going to see all year, in my opinion. You can probably bet it in the Super Bowl. We got the Los Angeles Rams versus the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks are favored by 2.5 points.
As they should be.
Oof. Well, you and I have different opinions on that. The total's 47.5. I'm going over on that.
I agree.
And it's only because I think there's a statistic where I think the Rams have only scored in their last 2 games that they played each other. The Rams have scored 1 more point total, or something like
insane.
that. Something weird like that. So they're pretty close games. I think the Rams. I don't like the spread at -2.5. I think if you can move it to, I'm trying to think, like +7.5, I would, which is gonna no, I don't know how that works. I think it's the game's going to be closer. I think you can see a 3-point differential, but I wouldn't feel confident betting plus money on the Rams at that low of a point spread. So I take the +7.5 and I'll alternate. So then if for some reason one of the teams wins by a touchdown, you're not losing there. But yeah, for me, I like the Rams. I kind of said it earlier and alluded to it. I think the Rams win the Super Bowl. I think their defense is very suspect, but Seattle's offense is very suspect. Seattle just lost Zach Charbonnet for the year. So now it's all Kenneth Walker, Kenneth Walker did it against the Niners. The Rams defensive line is very good. So the Seattle Seahawks are not going to be able to run, 3 touchdowns with Kenneth Walker to beat them. They're going to have to air it out. And then my issue goes, well, can Sam Darnold do that with his oblique injury? How bad is it actually? Because he didn't really throw up crazy stats against the Niners. It was a lot of the defense and the running backs. So those are things that kind of leave me questioning of whether it's going to go one way or the other. But I like the Rams personally at over.
Obviously, I'm going with the Seahawks. You're okay with the spread in my book, and over for sure.
Do you have anything else to add to this game since we're talking about it here?
I mean, I like the Rams, to be honest, and I wouldn't be upset to watch Matthew Stafford, hopefully end his career off on a little Super Bowl win, right off into the sunset. But I just think that Seattle, in all honesty, I think Seattle wants it just more, to be honest. Not to take anything away from the Rams by any means. Obviously, everybody wants this. You know what I mean? But I feel like everybody on that team for some reason just plays with kind of a chip on their shoulder.
So November 16th of the 25, because we're in 26 now, the Rams won 21-19, and it was in Los Angeles. And then in December, the Seahawks won 38-37. They played on the 18th of 2025. It was an overtime loss. But what's important to mention in that game is that they didn't have Devontae. Okay, so they were doubling Puka.
Right.
They were able to kind of be on him. So I'm almost interested to see how this is going to play out. Zach Charbonnet did have a big role in that game, as did Kenneth Walker. That's kind of been working their two-headed monster. But without that happening, I'm almost concerned for them as to see what would happen. I think personally for me, I think with the addition of Devontae, whether it's a distraction or whether he's getting the ball, either way, it's too hard to ignore him and his talent. I think Cooper Kupp is good. I think he had his only good game all year last week against the 49ers, which is expected. That defense is pretty bad. I just don't know. I agree, because I've been saying it on the show. I think Stafford wins. He's an automatic first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't think anybody's going to question that. Not everybody can have a Tom Brady-like career, but I think that it's kind of like a perfect ending for him, with a bow on top and to move on. And I like Seattle for their future. I just think they're missing just a couple pieces. Not much, but just a couple pieces. So that's just what I think about that personally. But we'll see what happens, man. It's I'm really excited for that game. That's the game I think I'm going to be most attuned to. I think the Patriots Broncos, I'll probably turn it off by halftime, because it'll probably be a one-sided affair in my personal opinion. You want me to put my tinfoil hat on? That's when I will. If the Broncos are somehow beating the Patriots, that would blow my mind. Only way I'm watching that game, and to the point where I'm like, I actually have faith for them. They bring back Tim Tebow. They bring back Colin Kaepernick.
Or they bring back Peyton Manning.
Ooh. No, Peyton's too old, bro.
Let's go.
They'd have to bring back somebody. John Elway from the movie.
Nobody thought Phillip Rivers would. But look at the boy.
Hey, Phillip Rivers, they can bring him back, bro. Bring him back. If they cut him, bring him back. He gives him a shot. So next, we're going to get into our hot take section. As always, Xavier, I'm going to give you the floor first. So go ahead and share some of your hot takes for today.
All right. So my first one is, do you think if the Bills had fired their coach sooner, the coaching hires would have been much different?
I don't know about much different, but I think one of those coaches that signed might have signed with Buffalo, if that makes sense.
No, I get you. I personally, I think they would have been horrifically different, because you have Josh Allen. Like, it's as simple as that. That man has been carrying that team on his own for majority of his career, because they're all too cheap to go buy a wide receiver. Personally, I think Harbaugh would have went there. I think Stefanski would have went there. I think every single coach that's been hired would have went there.
Well, I think all of them would have interviewed, but I think the reason why I didn't say vastly different is because I still see the teams that hired the coaches that they wanted would still be the same. I just think that they would just have one more stop in that interview process. But I also agree that John Harbaugh, I think, would have been the best fit and the most ready to help them win. But I do like that he did go to the New York Giants, because it's not going to be a one-year thing, but they have a lot of young talent on both sides of the ball, and that's exciting to watch for that organization. As long as the organization itself, above John Harbaugh, can figure it out and get it together. Because I think really at the end of the day, that's what it's going to come down to. Not really him. I mean, I know he's coaching, but their mistakes is above. Just like
no, I get you. So next question is, which head coach hire do you think was the best for the organization?
I mean, it's not even it has to be a head coach hire, or can it be any hire?
Head coach.
That was a head coach. Okay.
Head coach.
I was going to say notable. I'm going to say notable to me was Mike McDaniels going to the Chargers. I think hands down, if you can get that guy as an offensive coordinator, easy, hands down. I think anybody would have benefited from him. Head coach, I still think, just based on who is signed, I mean, really the two big signings are Stefanski and Harbaugh. It would be Harbaugh, just because he brings Super Bowl experience and playoff championships and playoff experience, and just honestly, like, at the end of the day, it's a lot of experience that the Giants really need. And I think with that team being so young, and honestly, they have a lot of talent, they're going to be very good, I think. And it's going to be interesting to see how the NFC East is now with him there. But I think that for me is still the best one. But I can see an argument for Atlanta's with Stefanski too.
I agree with you. Honestly, I do kind of think that Harbaugh was kind of the best situation there. It's got a young team, got a young quarterback, got a lot of young players, injury prone, which is my only concern.
That's fair.
But however, he's kind of the best fit to kind of turn that organization around, in my opinion.
Well, we can do a devil's advocate on it though and say, well, why would it be Stefanski? And honestly, I mean, Stefanski, coach of the year, he was not in a very good organization, but he goes to a team in a division that's very winnable with probably a top 2 running back in Bijan Robinson. You have I hate to say it because we don't really like to talk about this guy, but you have a top 5 receiver in Drake London when healthy.
Well, here's the thing. My next question will help you play devil's advocate.
Oh, okay.
Which team lost from either their hires or their fires by the organization?
Ooh, like the most? Ooh.
Yep. Who lost the most?
Man. That's a hard one because I immediately think of 2 teams. I mean, obviously the most relevant is the Buffalo Bills because they waited so long to do it. But granted, they were still playing. But honestly, I think it's going to be the Ravens. Like they don't have anybody. Like who's in the hell is going to be their coach? Like I think that's what's coming down to is you got rid of a Super Bowl winning coach over some. I don't know if it's a QB coach or what the assistant or who it was that it came down to that they had a disagreement to. And now I've even heard. I don't know if this is true or not. But from what I look like, it was in a meme account. The Raiders are trying to acquire Lamar Jackson right now.
I saw
probably
that
for that number 1 pick. And it's multiple sources. It's not just like me pulling that out of my butt. Like, that is a real rumor. And I don't see if they're going to rebuild, why not do it with Mendoza at this point?
Exactly. And that's kind of where I'm at, because honestly, when I saw that, the first thing I thought about is if the Raiders take him, if the Raiders like legitimately do it and trade for Lamar, they're 100% the dumbest organization in the NFL because that's the dumbest thing you could ever do. But I doubt it'll actually happen. I doubt it.
Well, so who do you think, or what team do you think has the best or lost the most from either the hires or being fired from organization wise?
As far as firing goes, I do agree. I think it was the Buffalo. I think it was the Buffalo Bills. Because yes, obviously they were playing, but at the same time, there's no reason. Like, I feel like that last game was not when the organization all of a sudden decided, you know what, we're going to fire this dude. I think they decided that probably by the end of the season, in my opinion. And if they didn't, and if they just did a knee-jerk reaction, then they're also one of the dumbest organizations in the NFL, and it makes me feel better because I think the Titans are. But regardless of that, to me, that just doesn't make sense. So they should have shot their feelers out very, very early to a lot of these head coaches.
But I think
I know they.
It's hard.
I know they can't.
In the playoffs.
I know they can't, but there's ways, bro. There's
definitely ways. But I think what ends up happening is that there's a distraction because it's going to get leaked. It's always going to happen. You hear every 100%. Rumor that swirls.
But
and then
all in all,
a distraction from the game, and I just don't.
No, I get it. But all in all, I don't know. They were probably the dumbest in my opinion. And as far as hires go, 100%, I think it's the Titans. The Titans did not do a just service of picking up Saleh. And I mean that in 2 aspects. One, are we just ignoring what happened with the Jets? They like at the end of the day, he didn't have a quarterback. Yeah, but he had a stupidly talented defense and still couldn't do anything with it. And you saw what he could do. No, but you saw what he could do with a horribly crippled and injured 49ers defense. He could still coach them and get them into playoffs. but you couldn't even take the Jets. And I understand they're the Jets, bro. We know they're the Jets. I get it. But at the end of the day, that fact should not be ignored, which for some reason it's just horribly being ignored. Nonetheless, too, you're trying to build around Cam Ward. So why did you get a defensive coordinator as your head coach? To me, that doesn't make sense at all. At all.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand too. You're trying to make your defense good so that you set up Cam Ward. You know, maybe those 4th and outs, you know, aren't him backed up all the time because a team just ran down the field. I liked our defensive coordinator before, obviously got overshadowed by a crappy offense. But at the end of the day, a defensive coordinator is not where I would have went with that. And you know what? At the end of the day, too, it also could have been that coaches just weren't interested. And I don't blame them, because off of the track record of how the Titans management goes, they knee-jerk react all the time, and they don't let people be able to continue out what they're trying to fulfill. It takes a minute. You're in the middle of a rebuild. You were in the middle of a rebuild a long time ago, but you chose to ignore that fact. And instead, you just started kicking coaches to the curb after 2 seasons. And then you got rid of a coach who now is taking their team to pretty much a Super Bowl because you're an idiot. So at the end of the day, I think what the Titans did was the greatest in disservices to the fan base and to the organization and to their players. Because, yeah, you're going to have a really good defense, but you're going to be the Houston Texans. You're going to have a number 1 defense with an offense that does nothing. And your defense is going to get tired. And your defense is going to get grumpy because they know that their offense is just going to sell out. So I horribly disagree. And I know other people are like, oh, well, what would have been the better option? And everybody had some nightmare dream about Nagy being the Titans head coach, because, you know, I follow a lot of people that write about the Titans, and every single writer for some reason had some nightmare about him. I don't know what Nagy ever did to them, but for some reason they're all afraid of him. And so to me, I think Mike McCarthy probably would have been the best fit. But for some reason, we went down this road. And once we get to season 2 of Saleh getting fired because he goes 2 wins, 3 wins, and doesn't exceed, and it's just the same thing over and over, yeah, you're going to revert back to this and be like, wow, you know what? Maybe X and Rod should be getting these millions of dollars, because apparently we know what we're talking about.
So actually, all this, your rant actually segues into my next question. So just a couple things I wanted to add, and I'm not trying to defend Saleh, but I'm just kind of trying to paint the field. Robert Saleh went to the Jets. I didn't think it was a good idea to begin with. Lost Aaron Rodgers. Had a great defense, but he had Zach Wilson, which obviously didn't work out. That's why Aaron Rodgers was there. I just don't think going to the Giants or the Jets in that specific instance was a good idea in general, right? Because Daboll went to the Giants as well. Then you have Aaron Glenn, who's the current coach there. Granted, they have 6 first-round picks now in the next 2 years. So, I mean, they did something. But I think even he couldn't do it, considering the team that they had, and they kind of gutted everything, and they're kind of rebuilding, right? So the question with Robert Saleh is, like, I do think he deserves a chance, but I think it has to be in an organization that's in the ideal standpoint. That's why, like, for me, I thought he would be a good fit with the Ravens. He'd be a good fit with the Steelers. He would be a good fit for the Bills. Their defense, their pass rush is pretty decent, and their corners 100%. Are pretty decent. They just can't stop the run. But he would be able to fix those things, whereas they might need like a running, or not even a running back. They need a true number one receiver, whether that's free agency or whatever. And you got Josh Allen. You don't really need to do much to that offense besides get him a number 1 guy. And I mean, so I think there's a lot more places that he would have been more beneficial and more used in a certain role. Whereas I do agree with you. Tennessee's in a rebuild. Tennessee invested all this, their number 1 pick in Cam Ward. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, what are you going to do with it? And unfortunately, Robert Saleh doesn't have a track record to show that he's offensive minded. What happens when he comes into San Francisco? All the players they draft, oh, this is a Robert Saleh pick. Oh, this is a Robert Saleh pick. So if he has any say in that draft room, you guys are going to be getting a lot of defense. But granted, your defense hasn't been horrendous. I mean, it's not good right now, but it has in the past. You guys haven't been terrible.
So
that's never really been your biggest organizational problem.
The two things to notate is that one, Jeffrey Simmons was a number one All-Pro. He got first round All-Pro, which he had an amazing season, even though he was injured like 1-2 games. And we also, Cedric Gray, our middle linebacker, someone you've never heard of, before he got injured in the last 2 games, was actually number 2 in most tackles in the NFL with like 140. So our defense is not lacking. It's just our corners are like third-year pro at best. That's our number one corner, is a third-year pro who was actually number 4 on the depth chart when we had all of our corners. So, I mean, he's coming into a defense that has the setup with pretty good middle linebackers and honestly, a very stout defensive line, just needs edge rushers. So he's coming into a formula of a really good defense, a young, good defense. But our questions, which it sounds like both of our questions, lie with the offense. So,
yeah, it's almost interesting why he did it, because it's almost like a D'Amico Ryans 2.0 situation. They both came from the Niners. They are both in the AFC South. They're both going to probably have really great defensive teams and not very good offensive teams, just based on the way that their philosophy with coaching. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I wonder though, and this is where I put my tinfoil hat on. I wonder if the interaction that he had with Liam Cohen in that Jaguars game influenced him to want to go to Tennessee to play him twice a year. Bro, people are petty, dude. People are petty.
I get it. But from what I've heard is that Borgonzi, our president, is apparently like, this dude has ties everywhere in the coaching world. Like, everybody loves him. Everybody wants to work for him. So that's honestly, he is probably why we got majority of the interviews that we got, because Tennessee, in my opinion, just by an ownership standpoint, maybe not by a player standpoint, but by an ownership standpoint, is not a desired area.
I want to look at the eliminated teams for the past week, so in the divisional round, and evaluate what you think they need to do in this offseason for next year's season. So first, we're going to go first one eliminated, which is the Bills. What do the Bills need to do? Granted, they need a coach. So besides getting a coach, what can the Bills do for next season?
For this hot take, I will make it short and sweet because I've already ranted enough. The Bills need wide receivers on offense, and defensively, they need a line, in my opinion. 49ers need they need wide receivers as well. I mean, like big name wide receivers, not, these guys that are up and coming. No, you need a big name wide receiver. Oh my gosh. Then defensively, I think you need better corners for your division. Your division has a lot of good wide receivers. So I think you need a better secondary to help combat a lot of that. Texans need, oh man. Oh man. I mean, they have the number 1 ranked defense, so there's not really anything that I can say about their defense. I think their defense just needs to add depth, if anything. Offensively, you might need to bring in a rookie quarterback. You might need to start to look at that and maybe get some better receivers for a little bit more depth in that aspect, because your receivers seem to get injured a lot. For the Bears, honestly, I would like to see a complementary wide receiver to DJ Moore, because I think that would open up more of DJ Moore. A lot of these teams honestly just need wide receiver help. I think Caleb Williams is good. I think he's fine. DeAndre Swift is obviously fine, and now they're trying to get Mangani in there a little bit more.
Mangai, yeah.
Whatever. Then defensively, they need a better pass rush, in my opinion.
So for me, when I'm looking at the Bills, yeah, I agree with your defensive line because Joey Bosa's a free agent because he actually did pretty well this year if you look at his stats. But he's a free agent. I think he does leave. Obviously, they need a coach, and yeah, they need a receiver one. There's not very many free agents. I don't think they're going to pry Mike Evans away, but that would be a big name signing for them, even though Mike Evans is a little older. 49ers, yeah. I mean, yeah, we need receivers. Yeah, I'm a 49ers fan, so those who don't know, you see it here. Man, honestly, they need offensive line. I saw the Miami tackle last night. He's like 6'9", 380 or something crazy, or maybe he's 330. I forget. That looks pretty good. I would like that on my team. I don't know if he's in the draft or not, but offensive line help and corners, I agree. And everyone needs to be healthy, obviously. The Texans, they need a new offensive coordinator. I'll tell you that right now. I don't know who's calling their plays, but they need to do that. They need to get CJ better receivers. I know they went into the draft, but maybe some free agents. You need to get a little more veteran depth there. They might need to look for another running back. I just don't think Nick Chubb has it anymore, unfortunately. I think after that gruesome injury, he just isn't the same. And they need to get offensive line help. Without Tunsil's there, CJ's just not having a good time back there and is very rattled, not poised at all. And then when you look at the Bears, I think Bears offensively are fine. I know you said they should get another receiver, but they did draft Rome on Doomsday, and Rome is good. He was just injured for the latter part of the season, so he came back this past week and played. I think they'll be good. I think they're okay on receiver. I think that defense just needs to be not giving up so many points. So maybe work on that corner and some of their linebackers. So next we're going to get into some of the games as far as like what each team needs to do in order to win. So we only got 2 games this week. First game, we got the Patriots versus the Broncos. One thing to point out is the Patriots have had one of the easiest schedules, or people call it the Mickey Mouse schedule, in the NFL. And honestly, they were gifted. Like, this is wild. With the playoff schedule, their situation. I mean, the Broncos are cooked, right? Bo Nix is out. You have a backup quarterback playing.
100%.
I mean, at this point, it's like, how much easier was their Super Bowl run? Banged up Chargers, no Joe Alt, hurt Herbert, a little bit of a banged up defense, not too bad. Played Houston, who doesn't have an offense. No Bo Nix on the Broncos. And they're going to go to the Super Bowl and play an NFC West team. We're going to see how good they are. I'll tell you that, because both of those teams are gamers, as they like to say. Yeah, they're gamers. But the house on New England, right? Not actually, but metaphorically. Yeah. Okay. I don't think there's really much to say besides that. I think it's a pretty straightforward game for everybody out there. So this next game, you got the Rams versus Seattle. I'm really looking forward to this, even though it's in my division and my team lost. It doesn't matter. It's going to be a great game. Expect big football plays, good defense. So first, let's talk about the Rams. What do the Rams need to do in order to beat the Seattle Seahawks this week? They either need to double JSN or they need to bring down safety help on JSN. I think not. I mean, you need to worry about Cooper Kupp, but I think make Cooper Kupp work for it. Make AJ Barner work for it. Make those other players and make Sam Darnold, like you said, do what he needs to do, because we've seen him in the playoffs. We don't really know how he's going to play. He has an oblique injury, so you're going to have to make him work. Rams defensive line is great, so I think that's the best thing they have going for them. They are going to stop that run, or they could stop that run, I should say, especially now with Zach Charbonnet being out. Kenneth Walker is going to get a majority of those touches and is going to get more tired. Kenneth Walker is not old, but he's older than what Zach Charbonnet was. It'd be interesting to see what their game plan is surrounding that. But honestly, with the Rams, just need to, I don't even know, dude. Like, in my opinion, they got to really utilize Blake Corum. They didn't really do that last week against Chicago. Considering it was snowing, you would think they would run the ball more, but you got to use that double-headed back. For some reason, it's happening right now, even though we like to say, hey, give your lead back the carries. Some guys are just not 20 touches a game type running backs, right? These aren't your Derrick Henrys. These aren't your Bijan Robinsons. These are your guys that are 1A, 1B, your David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs type situations that we have going on. It was Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, it was Kyron Williams, Blake Corum. When Kyron Williams and Blake Corum get a lot of touches, they do pretty well, and they're going to make that defense tired, and they really need to wear down that Seattle defensive line because it is good. It is very good.
Yeah.
And obviously, they need to figure out a way to get Puka open or figure out a way to get Devontae Adams open. But what they have going for them is that last time they played, Devontae wasn't available, but now he is, so Puka's not going to get doubled, and if Puka's doubled, it's going to be Devontae Adams all day. There's a reason why he's the most touchdowns in the league this year for a wide receiver. So, or in total, actually, he's the most besides quarterback.
What I think the Rams need to do is they need to abandon the run. I know that's completely contrary to what you just said. 100% they need to abandon the run, because the statistic that I had put up before was essentially that All the good running backs in the NFL, the Seahawks had gone against in their last like 5-7 games, whatever that was. They went against really good running backs. They went against Bijan. They went against Jonathan Taylor. They went against Kyron Williams. They went against all these good running backs, and none of those running backs busted out a run for more than 12 yards throughout the entire game. So at that point, to me, abandon the run. And I never thought I would really say that, but 100% you need to abandon the run and work that secondary. Work that secondary. You got two of the best receivers in the NFL. You have a very underused good tight end, and Kyron is a good pass catcher out of the backfield. Set up some screens, do some play actions, get them open, let these wide receivers work, and let Matthew Stafford do what Stafford has to do, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. So honestly, what I think Seattle needs to do is abandon the run. I mean, I think at this point, the Rams defensive line is just great. You have Jalen Verse, Byron Young. They have great linebackers. They're just all around pretty solid. So I would stay away from that. The biggest thing that the Rams get exposed on is when you throw to their corners and to their safeties. I mean, obviously we saw what happened when they threw to Durant in Chicago. Not to get Xavier's rant all started again and his tinfoil hat on, but you got to throw on them boys. So I think honestly it's going to come down to how Sam Darnold's going to be able to play and how he's going to be able to handle that injury. But if JSN gets doubled, you're going to have a way to corner that. You're going to have to throw to AJ Barner. You're going to have to get Cooper Kupp more open. You're going to have to honestly involve Rashid Shaheed. I think Rashid Shaheed's going to be a big factor for them. Yeah. I don't think he gets talked about enough. Obviously he's great on special teams, but run some jet sweeps. Utilize that guy that probably has a 99 speed in Madden. Like, use him. Yeah. He's your best asset right now. And he has hands and he can catch the ball. So get the ball in his hands in order for him to make a play. And I think that is going to be their best way in order to even have a shot. Where I think it doesn't matter which team goes, one of these two teams is winning the Super Bowl. Hands down. Yeah. Nothing's going to change my mind on that. Yeah. Bearing injury to a significant player. So, yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It really helps us with the YouTube algorithm. You can check us out on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, where you can watch the video, or you can go to our website, www.encinasunfiltered.com, where you can click the link there, or also listen to it for audio-only viewers, because, we also have that as well. You can check us out on our social media. We have TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it, we're on it. You can also go to our merch website, which we talked about earlier. You can also get merch from YouTube and Instagram as well, so definitely check that out. It'll be coming to TikTok here very, very soon. You can buy it from the website. Announcements. Look out for our August 2026 draft kit. That's going to help you for the 2026 fantasy football draft season. Also, keep an eye out for the great debate. That will be out. So this is the episode that we filmed for the championship week. The next week is going to be no football. So the week it'll be out there, or the free week, I guess you want to call it. Yeah. The week between the Super Bowl and the championship game. The bye week, essentially. We'll have the episode for members, so it's 99 cents a month. Really, it's not a bad deal. It'll be available for members and eventually be released to the public, so you can watch the great debate while we have that weird bye week in between the Super Bowl and the championship games. Also, if you like our great debate, or if you want us to discuss any other topics, go ahead and let us know down in the comments. Or if you just agree or disagree with some of our takes, we want to hear what you have to say and what you think about either the playoffs or people's draft positions, or what you think is going to happen with the head coaching situations, or a little bit of everything. We're always interested to see everyone's takes and perspectives, including delusional fans. We've all been here this year as we've been a very big show on delusionment. We may or may not film an episode after the Super Bowl. I think it's just going to depend what happens. If there's enough content, we might push it a little later, but I would like to do maybe a once a month type of episode. So kind of stay tuned for that. We don't really know exactly what it's going to do. It just really depends on what football news is available. If there's not anything to the draft, then expect kind of like a draft episode, not fantasy football, but NFL draft. So until next time, everybody, thanks for sticking around. Peace.
Later.